My name is Desiree Anya Soto, and I'm one of the producers of In Contact. Kat and Darrell just took us on a difficult journey that many teachers tend to face in schools with lower resources. Today, I'm speaking with the assistant principal at a school on the north side of the same county that tends to attract top-performing students and has more resources. We're going to compare and contrast their experiences and see how it's affecting the students that they teach. I'm so glad we get to speak to you in the field. Kat, she just gave us a little background on, how it is as a teacher to be in a school with low resources. Now, as an AP, I'm sure you're faced with multiple challenges just in a day. And when you look at this school, and even as I was walking through the hallways, it's vastly different from other schools in the area. You worked in other schools in other counties. How do you think that impacts the students' performance on a day-to-day?
So you look at our bottom 30 students, and those are the students that we try to concentrate on, and then our top 10%, because you want to make sure that you grow those top 10% so that they can pull up, and then those bottom 30, you want to make sure that you're supporting those students, because those are the ones who will struggle the most, and those are the ones going to need the most support. But having those teachers who are willing to work with those bottom 30% students, because it's easy to work with those students in that top 10 quadrant, because it makes your job easier. But the real teachers want to work with those bottom 30, because you see more success when you see those students bring their grades and passing those tests.
And what kind of tools or resources do you think are provided at this school that are unique, maybe to the charter experience, or maybe just to this school?
We do anything that's unique to any other school. Honestly, I think if you would go to maybe one of the schools on the south side, they probably doing more things that are more unique than what we would do, because they actually have more allocations, and they would actually have more allocations because of like Title I. We're a Title I school, which you think, we're on the north end. No way that they would be a Title I school, but we are a Title I school.
Do you mind telling the viewers what a Title I school is? Because I know, but they may not.
So Title I is for students with who are reduced and free and reduced lunch. So depending on the percentage of students that you have in your school that's free and reduced lunch will depend on tax dollars or federal dollars that you get through the Title I program.
And that Title I program allows you to bring in extra teachers, extra resources to help for those students who are free and reduced lunch.
Okay.
So, we receive a small, minimum amount of money here compared to another school that I worked where we received almost $1 million in Title I fundings. So having those kind of fundings, I was able to, bring in 11 more teachers and bring in resource teachers and be able to have more technology for the students. So I would say sometimes when you are at a Title I school that has 100% Title I, you have more funding to do more resource things for your students.
What kind of things can you allocate with these funds, or what kind of things can you secure?
Here we brought in some more technology, so we brought some extra Chromebooks so that we could create a parent resource center. So we look at our demographics, and we have a large Hispanic, probably 30% Hispanic. So trying to reach those parents, because a lot of those parents are non-English speakers. So having more, hiring more bilingual staff members, and then just having a parent resource center, so those parents could come in, have computers, have somebody to work with them in that center to be able to, get on to like IC, the Infinite Campus program, so they could look at their students' grades and have more communication.
So yes, they're achieving it, but that bar was already set. They're already having that parent involvement, whereas kids from other schools or other areas where they may not have those resources, you're saying they're kind of motivated.
They're self-motivated, or they're being motivated by their teacher or their counselor saying, hey, you can do this, and pushing them.
What are some tips and resources, especially for DeKalb County students and parents of students that are in DeKalb County, that they can use?
I think the biggest thing is parent involvement and parent engagement. Parents have to really be involved in the child's education and do what it takes to get them to that next level.
To make sure these students succeed.
Yes.
And I love that, you and other staff members, and not only at this school, but in DeKalb in general, the staff works tremendously hard
Yes.
to make sure that these students are performing as their peers are in Cobb and Fulton and Gwinnett counties. And I really commend you for that and all your other staff members at this school. And thank you so much, Mr. Percy, for joining us today at In Contact. We really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
And back to you, Kat.
Thank you to our sponsors, Georgia Power. Welcome back to In Contact. We have with us Mr. Darrell Smith. We are continuing the conversation with him. He is a teacher here in the Atlanta area. And before the break, you talked about how your students reacted on a field trip to downtown Atlanta, which you said is about 10 minutes, 10 miles away from where you teach. Considering what we're talking about and the socio-economic bias in the Atlanta school system, how can we change that?
I think the key is the parents. I think it starts with the parents. Even at the high school level, the parent participation on the south end side is also lower than the parent participation on the north end. The parents have to come out, just be involved. Even if you're not able to give back money or you're not able to give back your consistent time, the teachers need to know that you are involved, you are concerned about your students' well-being, and the counselors also need to know that you're involved with their next step outside of high school. Oftentimes we have PTA meetings and we have participation of 5 to 6 parents, and we're talking about out of 800, almost 800 students. So definitely the parent involvement is going to be the key that spearheads the turnaround.
And if you had to just say or speculate why there is a lack of parental involvement, why do you think that's the case?
Well, as my first year teacher and as a second year teacher, I was blown away by the participation, to say the least. So I actually started asking some of the parents, like, why don't you come? Why don't you show your support? Why aren't you at the basketball game? Why aren't you at the football games for your child? You know, and some of the responses were, I'm working. I'm trying to maintain this household. I'm working 2 and 3 jobs. I don't have a vehicle. I currently don't have a job, so I'm seeking employment. I even talked to a few parents that even told me they were embarrassed to come to the school because of their economic situation, or you know. So those are some of the excuses or some of the reasons that I've heard, you know, directly from parents.
And so from your experience, do you think that this is a socioeconomic issue, or would you say that it's actually a racial issue? What would you say?
I honestly believe it's more socioeconomic. Simply because we know the Caucasians outnumber African Americans here in Georgia. So just by simple numbers, we know we're going to be the minority. But we also see numbers where there have been an increase in African Americans in the north end schools, being that Atlanta is one of the leading entertainment hubs, and more jobs are coming to Atlanta. So more African American families are considered the middle class and upper class in an area like Atlanta. So that's how they're kind of breaking the racial divide in it. But I believe it still comes down to how much money your family brings to the home, you know, monthly, and how you're able to support everybody that's staying in your home.
And if we can say that this is a socioeconomic issue, and it's essentially your child will get this level of education based on where you live or your zip code, what can the school system do to make the schools on the south side of town competitive with the schools on the north side of town?
Outside of trying to force the north end schools to get the south end schools money, I think there has even been an attempt for that to happen, and some of the south end schools weren't even receptive of the money. So I don't know how they can try to make the playing fields even, besides just continue to explore different options on how to get a resource in the building. Continue to reach out to the community, continue to push that parent involvement, because that will be the leading way in order to start trying to even out the playing field, but I really don't think it'll be possible in that fashion.
And even though like the alumni group for your particular school, do you all reach out to them? Are they receptive of giving back? You know?
Again, in our area, a lot of the alumni association are still in the community. You know, they haven't reached out. They haven't reached out outside the community themselves. They haven't been exposed to things outside of that 15 to 20 mile radius that they live in as well. So a lot of times those efforts are given back as voluntary. So we'll come up and volunteer for the school, or we'll come up and, mentor for a day or two rather than trying to put funds back into the school.
But how can we bring value back to the Black schools, or primarily African American schools? Like, what can we do as a community to lift our education, our school systems up, which in return lifts our children up and prepares them for success?
Again, involvement in the schools, and actually find out what is your student supposed to learn while he's at school. You wouldn't believe 9 times out of 10, I ask a parent, do they know how many English courses their students are supposed to take before they graduate? How many math courses are they supposed to take before they graduate? Actually, what are they learning in those math and English courses? And they can't tell me. So just knowing exactly what your student is being fed or being taught in school, and figuring out yourself as a parent, are these skills going to relate to him being employed? Are these skills going to relate to him being a successful college student?
So in other words, we can't blame the system. We have to look inward and say, what can I do to make sure that my child succeeds?
Absolutely.
And that starts at the home. How can everyone get in contact with you?
Well, I'm on social media, Smitty_D. That's on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook, Darrell Smith. Any questions as far as education, I'm pretty open. I like to be pretty transparent as far as what we're doing in the school system, what things I think will work, and what things I think we probably can draw back from.
Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
You are an inspiration to me, to be honest with you. So what you have said and shared with us today, I will make sure that I do when I become a mama to a little beautiful brown baby.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Being full, you gotta know what's going